If when recession hits, can we see Bitcoin around sub 12K? Thanks. And like I said, I think it was you that was talking some pretty low numbers like that. Are you still holding on to that thesis, or what are your thoughts?
I am, and I think the setup is honestly a little bit more clear now, where it's not going to be, if we get down to, let's say, even 10 or 9,000. I think max pain. I mean, people talk about max pain. If we pierce 10,000, I could only imagine the craziness there.
Oh yeah.
But for me, it has nothing now to do with Bitcoin. If this happens, it is going to be a liquidity event, meaning that the stock market, and let's just take this for instance. Let's just say the stock market goes back to last October lows, which would be a drop, I don't know, 20% down. Where is Bitcoin during that? All right. And what if we go even lower? I mean, in general, I would be surprised if we don't take out in a recession the October lows. And so I think, to be clear on this, is that I think the things are moving in the right direction for Bitcoin. The spot ETF kind of adoption by more countries, by institutions, and so forth. But it's all about that liquidity event, where if you see the stock market dropping 20-25% from here, we do probably get down and maybe test $10,000 or $9,000 on Bitcoin. So I do see that. I'll show you on my chart here real quick. So I've had this range. This is that 30 to 31 range. We can see that we did break it here. This is actually the beginnings of what I would refer to as a potential bear flag, which usually leads down. I know Magic, you guys are looking at that 28.4-ish level, which is this little pivot here for me. So I agree that's a little support. For me, the big level to watch in the overall picture of Bitcoin, of whether it can go back up to 31 and break out in the near term, or it starts to head back to the lows, is this line right here. Beautiful, perfectly aligned trend line connecting all of the lows. And essentially, it's an upsloping trend line, or a line that is telling us about the trend on Bitcoin. So if we were to start trading below this, which is around 27,000, that's where I would start to get nervous that we're beginning that bigger move to the downside that could at least retest 15.7, the lows on Bitcoin.
I think, Gareth, that would be, it's scary, especially if you haven't been in crypto very long. But I will say, as someone that's, been in crypto for 6-7 years, whatever it's been now, the best decisions that I've ever made were to take those opportunities, because I do believe long term in the asset that is Bitcoin. And so I would just challenge everyone. I've been talking about mainly just because of macroeconomic conditions, nothing to do with charts, macroeconomic conditions, that I still think we have a big move downward. And I can't point to what it's going to be. Is it going to be war? Is it going to be, like Gareth said, a liquidity crisis? I just still feel like we've got something coming. And so, if you're prepared, then you have a game plan. And if that's part of your game plan, great, then you're going to be either ready with dry powder on the side, or you're going to be dollar cost averaging all the way down as it happens. I mean, whichever way that ends up working out, fantastic.
And that's the key, is the only people who don't want to hear that there could be some downside are people that are all in right here. But the key is to always be prepared. And Magic will tell you this as well, is you need to be prepared for anything. You need to be prepared for upside, downside, sideways chop. What are you doing in those scenarios? And so if it does flush down, well, for me, all right, I'm just inching in every, let's say, a few $1,000s I'll accumulate, as long as my thesis holds. And my thesis is that it is the future digital gold. It's something that can't be printed. I mean, all my thesis continues to remain the same for the long term. So what do I care if in the next year it goes to 10, if I'm just going to use that as an accumulation period for when it goes to 200, right?
Yeah, if ultimately your game plan is anything like mine, this is a long-term game for a long, long time to come, of accumulation of the asset that is Bitcoin, to help myself and my family create the financial freedom that I believe can come from it. And then obviously it's, our future as it relates to finance as well. Blockchain is here. It's not going anywhere. And I think we're going to continue to see that growth.